All right, and good evening, fans of Randomizer, and welcome to the SGL online tourney for Timespinner 2024. I am Talon116, and joined in the commentary booth today by Jim the Eternal. Hey, Jim.
Hello, Talon.
Yeah, so we got a match in the, like I said, in the 2024 SGL online tourney. I believe both these runners are in the second chance bracket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they had a rough go getting here, too. Roenmaru up against Wind Maiden in one of the most cursed seeds I have ever seen. SilentBrow up against Nochibato in just a heck of a fight, really close fought, a great race, and just missed the spindle in one of those onesie-twosie checks. So I'm really excited to see how this goes, what Roenmaru looks like when he can really cut loose, and what this race is going to turn out to be.
Yeah, a lot with the settings in this one. It seems like we've had a lot of those who checks the right thing win, especially like you're looking for one item and oh, here we go, blood minus. No, thank you.
Blood minus is one of the really harder starts too, because of the amount of time it takes to break the dummy.
Right.
We're gonna see a minus spell, do you think? What
yes,
are the odds?
Of course.
Of course, of course.
Minus corruption. Oh, okay, arm cannon. Okay, and off we go. So in this tournament we have several flags. Some are similar from last year, some have definitely changed. We'll try to highlight some of those. The biggest one I think being the Teleria attachment start is always nice. And then I Spy, meaning we cannot open the secret passages or breakable walls until we find the Oculus Ring.
Yep, I Spy been a little bit of a controversial choice, I think, for this tournament. There was some polling initially to see which flags we were going to use, and some flags absolutely unanimous, and I Spy kind of really close. So it's interesting to see what it's been doing to the routing and what it's been doing to the runners this year.
Yeah, a lot of the races have really come down to a late Oculus Ring and where do you want to go dig for that last piece. I will say I voted against it, but it was one of those that once we got it, it's like, all right, let me practice and change how I play this game.
Yeah, now that I have seen how it plays out, I'm really intrigued by it. I don't know that I'd want to do this again next year.
Yeah, I think it really enhances the puzzle aspect of this game and routing choices. But speaking of choices, we have immediate divergence from both of our runners. SilentBrow taking a little bit more traditional, immediately right to the castle, and Roenmaru using the Teleria attachment to be able to go left. Yeah,
so as you were saying, Teleria attachment, kind of a revisit for this tournament. We didn't have it last year, now we have it this year. So that enables some of these routing choices. Teleria definitely taken into account by the logic, and allows you to make some jumps that you wouldn't otherwise be able to make, specifically that broken bridge. So we're going to see some runners definitely coming over here, tagging this warp, and then heading back in order to head over to the right side. And this is territory that you would have to go through anyway, and this way you get one check or two checks a little bit earlier than the other runner might if they were going in that direction. Oh, SilentBrow, unfortunately missing the jump off of the drawbridge.
Yeah, and grabbing that initial warp check, kind of a call out to last year's tournament, where we saw some that would go down just so once you have warp shards, you have to have... Oh, nice succubus hairpin.
Ooh. All right, keep going.
Sorry, got really excited. But using one of those warp points early, so once you have warp shards, you can bounce around between these interconnected portals, but only once you've used one. So getting that initial warp out of the way early just kind of checks that off the to-do list.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very key thing to be able to warp later on, and really affects kind of how you route and what decisions you make. But Succubus Hairpin, that is a great find. So Succubus Hairpin is one of the maybe 3.5 methods of getting extra vertical in this game. Succubus Hairpin is the double jump. There's also Light Wall, which is a way to set up a platform in midair, and Celestial Sash, which is just infinite vertical. So Celestial Sash and Light Wall, and there's Light Wall, both of our sources of infinite vertical, so that's going to unlock a ton of new checks for the seed. The half is the Timespinner wheel, which allows you to stop time, and allows you to use enemies as platforms, but that's a lot more finicky to get a lot of height.
I was going to comment on SilentBrow's choice of once getting the hairpin of going back down through the Siren Caves here as quite the choice, but it really looks like it's going to pay out with that light wall.
Yeah, being able to pick up Bat Ledge, I think, is really nice, right? Off of that double jump. With just Teleria, it's not in logic, but double jump or time stop or any of the other verticals puts that bat ledge in logic. And finding the light wall there is pretty huge.
Yeah, that's quite a clutch play.
This is also a choice that's a little bit less common, I think, what SilentBrow is doing now, going to the past Siren Caves here, the upper caves of Banishment. There are 2 checks that he can get here. Wow, one of which is a time spinner here. Okay, I'm just wrong, I guess. But there's a bunch of underwater checks that he's not going to be able to get while going through here. The reason this is a semi-common choice at this point, though, is because this is a free warp. So going into this cutscene room lets you warp back to the refugee camp and access to the warp over here on the left side. So you're not losing a lot of time by doing it. You're not like having to backtrack through a lot of territory. But it is territory you might want to come back to later if you have the water mask, which is why people tend to avoid it.
Zarian warp, gross.
Oh,
yeah, another
geez.
thing too with Silent, as you saw going through those areas with those large poisonous mushrooms, doing a ton of damage. Really cut it close a couple of times, but good job keeping an eye on their health, being able to get through that.
Oh, nice. That was actually really good light walls by SilentBrow in order to get up to this Bombardier check. That's a painful check to get up to. I see a lot of people going up to the top of it and knocking out those engineers through the wall, but really good light wall positioning to kind of attract those engineers' attention and get them out of the way.
Yeah, that was a really clutch move to save time and position as well.
So back to progression. Roenmaru does have that modern warp in an obscure, kind of painful location. SilentBrow now picking up that exact same warp as he follows, maybe 10 seconds behind Roenmaru in this castle area. But after quite a bit of divergence, so it's really hard to say, 10 seconds ahead might be 30 seconds behind once they start going back and looking at each other's checks again.
Yeah, Rowan grabbing that. I thought it was some kind of plus, but I didn't catch it. But yeah, we'll take Umbra plus over Blood minus any day. Give us a lot more powerful striking ability.
Yeah, Blood, a bit of a hassle to use here for sure. Any plus orb. Yeah, Umbra plus, absolutely. And I think SilentBrow also sees the exact same thing and is going to immediately switch. So we're going to see them going through this castle area because the progression here is fairly obvious. And the checks here are pretty dense. The basement loop is flooded, which is a bit unfortunate. They're going to need the water mask in order to get through that area. And Roenmaru heading towards the Golden Idol location? Yes, heading towards the Golden Idol location. Although with... Roenmaru hasn't picked up the light wall yet. So yeah, not a lot of reason to head towards Alana's Tower yet.
Yeah, but with that double jump, can get up to that area at least a little bit. And with the Teleria attachment, nice Shadow Seal, can get to the point where you can buy Warp Charge, which may be their focus right now, in farming some of these easy kills, maybe for a couple levels. I would be shocked to see Roenmaru go for the Golden Idol fight here.
Yeah, that would be an interesting choice. What we've seen from a lot of runners actually this year is kind of skipping some of the boss fights. Empire Crown, a really nice find, and maybe makes that boss fight a little bit more palatable, a little bit more attractive. The Empire Crown is one of the better pieces of equipment for attack damage, so that'll really up Roenmaru's output with their plus Umbra Orb. But we'll see where they go.
One thing for Roenmaru and eventually SilentBrow when they get over to that area is, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, they also found the Infernal Flame spell, which lets them burn the vines over the Lake Serene area, which may keep them from that light wall a little while longer.
Oh, that's true. There's not a lot of reason to go back to Bat Ledge specifically, right? It's a little bit out of the way. Maybe after they get Warp Shards, that'll be a little bit easier.
That other water mask to force them down in the caves. Okay, we're just both going to be wrong. Roenmaru are going for to at least check what the Golden Idol fight is.
Yeah, he's probably committing to this fight.
Okay.
I think Roenmaru, relatively new to the community, but has a decent history in Archipelago. So from a race perspective, this is a lot of time spent on a single check. But from just a randomizer perspective, you clear the checks you have. Nobody likes backtracking. So being in this area and wanting to just clear out the boss, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, having that Shadow Seal, having the plus orb, and it being boots, which is relatively a gentle and kind boss. Not a bad thing. You see SilentBrow going more toward the tower. No royal item yet, no pink orb. So not able to check the royal room, mom's room, as I like to affectionately call it. But heading over towards this warp, and then... Oh, straight into Alana's towers. All right.
I'm okay with this, right? Double jump light wall, that's pretty good navigation.
Yeah, I think that's a great choice. There's plenty of stuff you can do up here, and more importantly, buying those warp shards, which is kind of my focus in the early game. Is I want them, I'm going to want them immediately, and give them to me, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the navigation potential of the warp shards is such a huge deal. It kind of gets you all over the place, and gives you a lot more options in terms of going wherever you want. SilentBrow making I love this little jump. There's a specific technique using the double jump of the Teleria to get you up into this area without infinite vertical, and it's a little finicky, but it's quite the cool technique to know and very important for the logic in a quick seed. Wow, Timespinner Gear 2. Okay, so this is one that Roenmaru is definitely going to find in the near future, as opposed to Gear 1, which is hidden away in the Siren's Cave, kind of an out-of-the-way place. It might be a while before Roenmaru heads in that direction.
So, for anyone that's wondering, why we were saying going for the Golden Idol may not be so advantageous right now, another change in this year's settings is the use of the Prison Gate. So before, you have to just kill 3 specific bosses to give you access to the hangar on top of some key cards. We have done away with that, and now there are 3 specific items that block those laser gates, so defeating the bosses does not affect that anymore, at least in these settings. So, whereas, killing Alana, potentially gives you access to the items after her and her attic, killing the Golden Idol just gives you 1 check.
Captain's Cap in the Merchant Crow's shop here in the past, which is a decent helm for damage, although not quite an Empire Crown. SilentBrow going into the shop, picking up some warp shards, and picking up some potions as well, which, not a bad call. Having some HP consumables in the shop is nice. The shop inventory is always completely random, with the exception of the warp shards. They will always have warp shards available. Yeah,
that's a nice heads-up play. That's something, if you get to an early Kantoran fight, you kind of thinking, oh, I could use a pick-me-up, so heads-up play for them. Responding to a question in chat, the light wall is sitting on the bat ledge, which SilentBrow, immediately after getting the double jump, went for. It's kind of a roundabout, which really paid off.
SilentBrow also finding their first gear in the Siren's Cave, which Roenmaru has yet to visit. Roenmaru, picking up those warp shards and bailing, I guess. I missed the exact timing of his transition. But it doesn't look like he's going through the rest of Alana's towers now.
Yeah, not having the infinite vertical made me thinking that trip's a little too long to take, but it's going to be immediately rewarded.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a nice find. Let's see if Roenmaru goes through the Siren's Cave. I wouldn't expect him to, but anything's possible. Oh, here we go! Okay, so he's going to find that gear here also, even though the Siren's Cave movement here with the going through the Siren's Cave here without the water mask is the kind of thing that, as I was saying earlier, is generally avoided because it orphans 3-4 checks that you'll have to come back to later on once you have the water mask. But in this case, it's absolutely the right move, right? It gets in that Timespinner gear.
Yeah, and after they get to this warp back point, I'll be interested to see if they want to go back for the tower or just continue to Lake Serene having that fire.
Yeah.
And we have Ifrit in the Alana spot, so SilentBrow going to abuse the cheese spot and just do the work.
And this is a bit of a slow way to do the fight. This particular orb will only hit him when his arms are lowered, so you're not getting, full damage. I think SilentBrow has Light Wall. Light Wall also a pretty effective technique here if you wanted to use it. But this will work. It's just, a little slower.
Roenmaru checking that present access spot in the Zarin Cave decides, no, that's okay.
We can check the present later. Right now, there's a lot more palatable spots to go to in the past. We got Ravenlord at Kantoran. Yup. Roenmaru immediately bailing.
Yeah,
SilentBrow knocking out that fight.
Okay, elevator keycard potential.
Yeah, that's going to be very relevant once our runners get into the present. I guess we should talk about the victory conditions for this seed. So right now, each of our runners has 2 of the 5 Timespinner pieces, 2 out of the 3 gears. There's also a spindle and a Timespinner wheel, which is the thing that unlocks the time stop ability. Once our runners have all 5 pieces of the Timespinner, they need to make it to the Ancient Pyramid, either using the mysterious warp beacon, which neither of our runners have, or by going through the lab, which is on the right side of the present and requires 3 items, the Prism Break items that Taylor mentioned earlier, in order to be able to get past the military hangar into the lab in the present. So there's a lot of location checking ahead for our runners.
Yeah, and to get to that lab, they also will need a couple key cards as well, and time, because that's a slow way to go. But sometimes that's what you need. We see a standard flooded Lake Serene, so the water mask looking like it's going to be needed eventually.
Yeah, in order to get into the Maw Cave, which is usually a common place for progression, they're going to need that water mask. But we haven't seen hide nor hair of it yet. Zarian at the Azure Queen spot. So probably not too hard a fight. Zarian's going to be scaled down a lot here, so the damage output isn't going to be too bad. But Zarian, traditionally a late-game boss, with some kind of annoying attack patterns. But Roenmaru deciding, yeah, I can tank this, no problem. There is a problem. Unfortunate death for Roenmaru. But I believe he has some HP consumables. He should be able to take this if this is the strategy he wants to use.
Yeah, Zarian being weak to fire has that Infernal Flame. Definitely makes it.
Yeah.
Also with a Shadow Seal, I believe. Don't know if they have it on, but definitely have it.
Infernal Flame doing much better work than just standing there and meleeing.
Yeah, Infernal Flame doing the Lord's work. Down we go.
We're much better, much better. That was a good fight. And both of our runners burning the vines in order to unlock some extra checks in the Lake Desolation area in the present. That's the time-advanced version of Lake Serene. So burning these vines opens up some doors that they wouldn't otherwise have access to and unlocks a fair number of checks. So definitely something worth it to go out of your way to make sure those vines are burned. Wow, deep in Zarian's cave. Holy.
This will be super fun.
Uh-huh.
Would you go for the Zarian boss fight since you're right here?
I would not. I don't like fighting bosses. Yeah, I don't like fighting bosses if I don't have to. And Zarian is right here, but unless it's something, like Boots or Maw, I don't think I want to be there. Like, imagine a dad like it's Zarian. No, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's just an exit game, thanks. Oh, well, all right.
Maw, okay, well, that's a little bit more cozy. That's doable. Maw, not weak to fire like Zarian, so Infernal Flame's not going to do quite as much damage here. But we are seeing the added damage scaling from the Zarian location. This is definitely one of the later game boss fights. I believe it's, what, 3k health for the Zarian location?
I believe so.
Something like that. Yeah, not a pushover at all. Oh, Rowan. Okay. Looking at his items. Good, thank you. Thank you. Don't die again, please. So that's a lot of health to go through at, 10 damage in orbit. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, that's probably going to be a no thank you from Rowan. This spot gates exactly 1 item, and if it's relevant, it's relevant. But 1 item for the amount of effort that it takes to get through it is. All right, I underestimated Rowan's stubbornness. Good job, Roenmaru. Let's see what it gets you.
Anyway,
SilentBrow.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. Either way through the kind of the inverse way through the Zarian caves, trying to get back up to the Lake Desolation area.
So far hasn't found anything particularly interesting in the Zarian caves. I think the elevator keycard came from Ilana's. But choosing to go the other direction, not fight Zarian, and instead just make it out of these caves and into the pass proper. Roenmaru getting through that Maw fight, excellent job, and finding an old coat. Unfortunate.
Yay.
So not the advantage that Roenmaru was looking for. I wonder if Roenmaru is looking at this fight and, seeing SilentBrow's previous performance in the races, or just thinking about their own position in the tournament, and feeling like they're behind, feeling like they need to gamble, feeling like they need to make these one-off checks in order to gain some kind of advantage that the other racer isn't. Both of these racers new to the tournament scene. I think I mentioned this earlier. So not a lot of experience with the tournament specifically, but both of them definitely relatively experienced with randomizers. And I know Roenmaru has been playing the Timespinner Randomizer for several years now, just because they've been over in the Archipelago server.
Yeah, so far as Aaron's Cave's just kind of proving a way to the next area, not having anything we really want besides headaches.
And there's this unfortunate check down here that SilentBrow is going to go to, which is a bit of a pain to backtrack from. With the light wall and double jump, it's not too bad. They're not going to have to fall all the way down. They can just climb back up. Or they can go all the way down anyway. That is their call.
I think I'd rather just, go down. I can just dash through this area for the most part. It's kind of bad either way.
Yeah, personally, I'm really not in favor of this climb on the left side. Like, just the way the platforms are positioned, this has always felt really awkward to me. But more power to you if that's what you want to do. And either way, it's probably an order of, like, seconds of difference, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and nitpick.
Yeah, I think if you're going to climb up the waterfall, you do kind of what Rowan's doing, where you climb up to get the items now and then go across. Now that you've already gone down and gotten the items and come back up, it's kind of Really good double jump light wall, though, by Roenmaru.
Yeah, definitely showing off the flexibility of the double jump light wall technique, which is really cool. This is actually my favorite style of movement in the game. Celestial Sash is very easy, but something about double jump light wall is just really satisfying.
Yeah, I am not the best at the double jump light wall, but he looked super smooth.
Yeah, right? SilentBrow, this is a rough way out. A little bit of patience, and he's clear.
Yeah, that pendulum monster thing really making life difficult.
Absolutely. And now he has to deal with these mushrooms, which are kind of heavy hitters. Like, the Zarian Cave, very much a late-game location. So everything here is punching above its weight class. And poison is no joke either. Like, poison is a very real problem. Roenmaru realizing just how much trouble he's in, backing up for the save. And try that one again. Yep.
Yeah, nice heads-up play, though. Again, understanding where you are and what you have available. Just using the resources you have.
Yeah,
poison is no joke in this game, like you were saying. It does some serious damage.
It doesn't really look that threatening until you think about how long it lasts. Poison is actually set up such that it'll knock out 25% of your health pool from when it hits. So it lasts a good long time, deals a respectable amount of damage. But slowly, right? Over the course of a couple of, I don't know how long exactly, maybe a minute. So it's easy to kind of ignore until you realize just how low health you are.
Yeah, it lasts too long. That's how long it lasts.
That is exactly how long it lasts. Roenmaru, I think it's actually hard to tell. Oh, okay. Well, with that death, Roenmaru's definitely ahead on their way out of the Zarian Caves. That's an unfortunate one for Silent. Silent moving on out, using that fire orb, which the mushrooms are weak to, but that's not a whole lot of damage. The fire neutral? Did you see?
I think it's fire plus.
Is it plus? Okay. It's definitely doing some reasonable damage against the enemies here. The individual numbers are low, but it does hit twice on every activation, so pretty good orb. And we saw how well Infernal Flames, Inferno. What is the fire spell? Inferno something? Is it Infernal Flames?
Infernal Flames, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we saw how well Infernal Flames was working against Zarian, so not to be sneezed at. And Roenmaru is out of the Zarian Caves, finally free, and into slightly flooded Lake Desolation. So this is going to make movement awkward and not apply any benefit, really. I don't think it blocks any checks, and in fact, if they didn't have all of the vertical that they do have, it would make getting some of these checks easier. But as is, it's not going to do anything other than make movement slow. Shoutouts to Rising Tides, one of the cooler flags, actually, that has been included. There's several different locations, something like 8, 10 something locations, that if they were previously had water, could be drained, and if they previously didn't have water, could be flooded at, I think, roughly 1/3 odds of getting swapped from their default state. So it makes every seed feel very different.
I always assumed it was 50-50. I didn't realize it was 1/3. SilentBrow taking another unfortunate death down in the caves. Yeah, just really getting plagued by those, I don't know, myconid looking things.
Yeah, this is definitely the kind of place that, oh, poor Silent. Oh my god, that's so rough.
Yeah, I can only imagine the tilt that's probably going on, because you have to feel like this is the way to go. There's nothing left.
Right, absolutely. But just stuck behind these monstrous mushroom towers. What a problem. SilentBrow may be feeling a little bit of what Roenmaru was feeling in his previous seed. Roenmaru, in his seed against, I think his, I don't see pronouns for either of them, but I'm going to go with his. Go with theirs. Roenmaru, in their previous seed against Windfey Maiden, was stuck with a hard-required Ravenlord at, was it Cantorin? It might have been, no, Ravenlord at Ifrit, that was it. And, basically just stuck there the entirety of the seed. So I'm hoping Silent doesn't suffer as much this time, right? Let's get Silent out of the Zarian caves. But very, very frustrating to be stuck in a place that seems to be the only way out.
Yeah, I remember I was in the audience watching that one, and it was just brutally savage how stuck it was. And you're right, there was no other way around it.
Yeah.
When Fey Maiden struggled with it a little bit, but kind of found the answer using a combination of different spells and such to eventually get out of it.
Silent down in one-shot territory and takes that one shot yet again. Oh, what a bummer.
He can have it for it. Nice Kobo.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so we do have the Gyre, I don't remember the name, Gyre Archive flag turned on. So that means that the Ravenlord and Ifrit fights are in logic, as is the Gyre Gauntlet. And all those things are gated. So to get to the Ifrit fight, there is a portal in the lab that requires the Kobo Familiar. To get to the not the lab, the library. And to get to the Ravenlord fight, there is a portal in the lab, yes, that requires the Merchant Crow Familiar. And then the actual Gyre Gauntlet is after the military hangar, and is only in logic if you have the Timespinner wheel, since there's enemies in there that require time stop to kill. SilentBrow looking a little bit better this time. A little bit higher health, not poisoned, fortunately. Maybe, yeah, taking this one a little bit more cautious. Not using the Teleria on their forward movement here. And was making good use of the backdash earlier. No, not seeing it. Maybe that's part of the tilt.
They're so close. They're so close again.
Right?
Oh, that was Inner Pyramid? Yeah.
Yeah, Silent at 3 health and taking advantage of that spell in order to get some distance from the enemy that killed him last time.
Yeah, what a shout out Roenmaru's choices here. After they got through the Alana fight at Boots, decided to run in, grab the warp. Nice wheel. In the library. That way when they finish the top route in the lake, they could just warp right back here. So good good running.
I love this choice, stopping time in the sewers. Man, those platforms are such a pain to navigate, and it somehow never occurred to me to just stop time and not have to deal with those helicopters and those platforms. But Silent's out! Silent did it! Thank you for tagging the save, Silent.
Yeah, Silent has never seen a save point they have loved so much than that one.
Alright, so Silent is going to be following in Roenmaru's footsteps here, going through this bottom area of Lake Desolation. Found the warp out. Heading back to the past now that he's finally free of Zarian Caves. Maybe he spotted something that he missed?
Well, speaking of spotting something, Roenmaru, I think, picks up the Oculus Ring.
Ooh, that's going to be a big find, too. Yeah, Roenmaru very much ahead now with how much time it took Silent to get out of the Zarian Caves. But Silent heading towards Cantorin, I think. I think this is definitely, okay, and now I'm very behind. What can I do that my opponent hasn't done?
This is the choice.
This is a choice. Man, I hate this fight. I think Silent has the tools to be able to take care of it. If I'm remembering correctly, yes, Raven is weak to fire. So Infernal Flame's going to do some good work here. But such a pain to navigate this room. All the jumps and everything.
The Hope Ring or Shield Ring, I don't remember which one it is, on their familiar helping at least a little bit.
Yeah, that blocks projectiles. It's an interesting choice. You don't see a lot of runners using defensive rings. But then again, you know, whatever ring you have is whatever ring you're going to use.
Nice Empress Robe on the top of the library.
Yeah, Roenmaru just keeps finding hit after hit. Wheel, Empress Robe. He's doing very good here. Silent. Oh, there it is. Okay, Roenmaru finding Selen's Bangle in the lead up to the Ifrit location, and then finding the Golden Idol at the Ifrit fight. So the Ifrit fight gates 3 checks, 1 before the fight, 2 after. So this is, like, probably worth the time, but this is a very highly scaled location. Both Ifrit and Ravenlord are, as optional bosses, are the most damage and HP in the game. I think at 4.5k HP. But Golden Idol's pretty manageable.
Yeah, my bad. Totally missed wherever Jin Inferno was just sitting on.
That looks like Jin neutral, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think so as well. Sometimes it's worth it for the cheese.
Absolutely.
Well, Silent not doing the top of Lake Serene, decided to grab these checks now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, SilentBrow looking very completionist here, and I'm not sure if this is a I feel behind choice or if this is a I don't want to leave the past until I found everything.
Yeah, I wonder, I think you might have the right idea, at least from my opinion, that says I kind of need a dumb or risky play to try to make up some time. And yeah. Ravenlord Ever is a risky play, in my opinion. Absolutely.
I mean, he's made if that is the play he's making, he's made the correct call in that this is a play that Roenmaru hasn't taken. So, absolutely, if this is something good, that is a huge advantage for SilentBrow, because Roenmaru's not going to make this play for quite some time, I'd expect.
All right, gets a second try. Well done. Good fight.
Yeah, much better fight that time. And only a max stand-up, unfortunately. Still looking to the past. Think maybe going for the Golden Idol location? Yep, going for the Golden Idol fight, which we already know doesn't have anything. Roenmaru's already cleared that one out. And Roenmaru just absolutely further cementing their lead here, going through all of the present, cruising over to the various warp areas, making sure all of their locations are tagged so that they can travel here easier in the future. No elevator keycard because Roenmaru has not been through Ilana's towers yet. But making do with what they have, going through the parts of the elevator towers that they have access to.
Yeah, barring anything amazing coming from these checks, I would assume they're going to go right for that next. Though, if they do find the other Prism Gate, would lead them the opposite way.
I mean, given how much of the seed that Roenmaru has gone through, there's only so many checks left, right? So, they're going to clean this up. They're probably... We'll see whether or not they find anything good. But if they don't, their next step has to be Ilana's towers. Like, what else is there?
Well, there's some goofy one-off, like, Oculus Ring checks that are just terrible.
That's true. There are a lot of breakable walls. And Roenmaru does have the Oculus Ring, which SilentBrow has yet to find. So what is next on your list, Roenmaru? Where are we going? To the pyramid!
Do it. Yes!
All right.
I'm here for it.
Hey, let's see if regret is forced progression again.
Oh, yeah, because the Oculus Ring makes regret.
The Oculus Ring puts regret... The Oculus Ring puts regret into your logic as long as it's not flooded, as long as it's not wet regret.
Yeah, I'm wondering if SilentBrow saw the partial flooding outside near Lake Desolation is thinking, oh, I can't get through that because I don't have a mask.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. You can force yourself underwater just enough to make it through that small gap. But SilentBrow, maybe with not that much familiarity with the with these flags, maybe doesn't know about it. Oh no! I mean, if SilentBrow looks at the map, he'll realize.
Oh, they did.
Okay, taking the Zarian fight. Maybe they don't realize. And Roenmaru, yep, going through Ilana's towers as expected. So this is a pretty reasonable call to make here, right? It's the next big area that Roenmaru hasn't been to, and almost all of it is open. Although the flooded area that Roenmaru just went over means there's a check down there that he doesn't have access to. But this is all stuff that we've seen before. We know what's over here. And Roenmaru has gotten some of the checks over in this area before, I think, when they went to get warp shards, but they haven't been in the upper Ilana's Tower area. Did they break the wall? Now that they have the Oculus Ring, the floor at the bottom there?
Yeah, they just grabbed that before they went up. So I'm trying to think, as far as breakable walls go, there's the one that's in above Lake Serene. There's the one that's like on the way to the castle ramparts, opposite of the waterfall. That's
the one right above that ledge?
Yes, thank you.
There's the one in the basement loop, but that's not accessible yet because they don't have the water mask.
Right.
And there are 2 breakable walls over in Serene. Which did you mention those? I think you mentioned those.
I mentioned the one above it, but not the one below. But that's flooded.
Oh, that is flooded. Yeah, that's also they're going to need the water mask in order to get into there.
But there is the breakable wall in Lake Desolation on the way to Boots. That's in like the Lake Desolation area.
The same 2 breakable walls in Desolation. Yeah, SilentBrow going back to Desolation. I'm not sure if there's a couple of checks that I guess a couple of checks in the upper Desolation area that he missed, since he kind of rushed straight for the library.
Well, no, this is the first time they've been here.
Oh, he's right. This is the first time through.
Yeah,
I got them confused.
They full cleared the past going back.
Okay, so they've made it through. They realized that they could get through that water area. That's good. And now with that mysterious warp beacon in hand, what is their next step? Probably still going through the present, right? I can't imagine they're gonna abandon the present for the ancient pyramid at this point. Roenmaru suffering.
Cheating right there. Come on, Lightwall.
All right, now we're in the center. Nothing can get in our way. No longer in Lightwall jail. Man, what a rough go of the struggle juggle. Really putting the struggle back in that struggle juggle.
Somewhere Wef is just like, don't be cute with your Lightwalls.
So Roenmaru are going to be heading up to the Ilana fight. I don't remember who was up here at Ilana's. But I think it was not that rough a fight. And going to be able to check Ilana's attic here.
Yeah, it's Ifrit.
Ifrit, yes.
Yeah,
okay, not that rough a
Ice
fight at all.
Plus and Lightwall, this will go quick.
Absolutely. The elevator keycard is in Ilana's attic, actually. That is the next step. So Roenmaru is about to pick it up. And that'll open up a little bit more for Roenmaru in the present. But yeah, if this didn't have anything, Roenmaru would be in a progression, right? Time to go back for all of those onesie-twosie one-off checks. But the elevator keycard is right here, so I think that's going to send him in a direction, if I had to guess. SilentBrow picking up that bombardment off of whoever was at boot spot. I blinked and I missed it.
It was, yeah, just a lot of Umbra doing the work there.
And making his way over to the library. So definitely a lot of space that Roenmaru has covered above SilentBrow, but very little additional progression. The Oculus Ring so far is the big thing. I guess he's found 2 of the laser gates. And somehow SilentBrow missed... Oh no, there's the wheel. Got it.
Yeah, the wheel's here, and then it's the Oculus Ring at the librarian.
Yeah, Roenmaru's found 2 of the laser gates. I'm not sure exactly where those were found. Somewhere in the elevator towers?
One's in the library, I believe.
Okay.
I thought the other one was early. Oh,
Jin Inferno off of the librarian.
My bad.
But yeah, SilentBrow is definitely going to follow in these exact same footsteps. It's not like he's going to miss anything that Roenmaru's already gotten at this point. It's just a matter of the timing. SilentBrow is still suffering from how behind he was in Zarian's and full clearing the past and getting nothing out of it.
Nice tablet.
Selling some stuff off, SilentBrow, at the shop now. Not sure exactly what he's going for, other than some more warp shards. Because he sure has a lot of money. I think he sold off a Gilded Egg.
Maybe was hoping just to buy some healing items.
Maybe. Oh, tablet. You just said okay. So tablet at the in the elevator towers is indeed a nice find. That's going to open up a bunch of checks in the library, so we'll probably see a backtrack for that relatively soon. There's one of those laser gates for SilentBrow. And the other one you said also in the library, yeah?
I thought so.
Okay, we'll see. I'd believe it. I certainly don't know where it is.
Did Roenmaru miss a breakable wall in the Varnagray Towers, or did they get earlier and I whiff?
I wasn't watching. I think I didn't see it. But yeah, going back for all those tablets, while SilentBrow makes the, I guess, obvious for SilentBrow choice of immediately into the Ifrit fight. Yes, showing off the power of that Jin Inferno. What a spell. The consensus best damage spell in the game. A very high aura cost that doesn't matter, because if you fire off your second cast of it while the projectile is still on the screen, it doesn't cost you any aura. So with appropriate rhythm, the spell is effectively free and does more damage than anything else. There are some situational spells that might be better, like Bombardment Plus in this particular fight, because of the Golden Idol's weakness to Blunt, would be a good choice. But very, very hard to get something better than Jin Inferno, even at neutral.
All right, we're seeing Rowan kind of checking their map, looking for those. All right, maybe it's time for some onesie-twosie checks to see if I can pick off.
Yeah, so going back for some of those breakable walls, I think is, I mean, you gotta do something, and this is something.
Yeah, it really feels like the third laser gate access is next on the list.
Or Water Mask. There's a lot of stuff that's gated by Water Mask.
Gross.
Dusk Plus. Not that that's particularly relevant for the Dusk Ring. Dusk is Umbra, so we already knew that it was going to be Plus. And the longer it takes Roenmaru to find something, the more time SilentBrow has to catch up. In fact, Roenmaru is in a position where he's probably going to start going back and checking all of those random one-offs that SilentBrow's already done. So every place that he goes that's a place that SilentBrow's already checked is yet another, chipping away at his lead, giving SilentBrow more time to find something relevant and catch up. Probably going to find that second laser gate in the elevator towers, although I guess it could be in Lower Desolation. I'm not sure if SilentBrow went through there. But with that elevator card, a lot of this area is completely open.
All right, Roenmaru realizing, oh yeah, that's right, there's a tablet checking this silly door. Oh,
Security keycard C, that opens 2 doors!
Yep. Opens up access to the Varney fight and also access to one item on the left side of the elevator tower that I never remember.
Mm-hmm. Security keycard C, I think my favorite shovel for Link to the Past fans.
Yeah. I tell you what, in a lot of the asyncs that I've done, it feels like keycard C and Cantor and Fight have had progression.
That's cursed.
Right?
Anytime Cantor and Fight has progression, I'm always like, oh no, what is this seed trying to do to me?
What have I already missed? How far ahead is my
What
opponent?
have I already missed? Yep. Nothing at the Varney fight, so moving on to yet another onesie-twosie check. Where are you headed now, Rowan? Into the library? To buy more warp shards. Yep. That is exactly how this goes.
So it's hard to tell because our trackers are a little cropped oddly with the addition of the Eclipse Ring and the Prism Gate items, but I believe both runners have the A card.
Neither of our runners have the A card. It's the piece directly over the
oh, never mind. I see it. I'm just bad. I see it now.
Roenmaru in Zarian Caves again? Did he miss something?
There's that one breakable wall that's up here.
Ah, okay. Oh yeah, he just never went over to that left side. All right. Go get it, buddy.
Well, never had the Oculus Ring until after he got out of this area, so had to come back for it.
There's a second item there, though, so he just never went over to that direction.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's anything good. I'm pretty sure SilentBrow checked it. Because SilentBrow went up that left side and then looped around to get the stuff at the top of the waterfall.
Oh, that's
Oh,
it.
the fire orb. That's where the fire orb was. No wonder Roenmaru hasn't been using it.
It's just incentive to come back, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. And whoa!
Well, there's my favorite orb. Let's go.
All right, Plasma Plus, alongside Gun, is one of the orbs that was actually scaled up deliberately for the randomizer because it wasn't getting a lot of popularity, it wasn't getting a lot of use. And Plasma Plus is probably one of the highest damage melee orbs. I would put it on par with I Plus. Although I Plus kind of edges things out if you have good positioning, if the boss is weak, if you are familiar with the jewelry box trick. But Plasma has some range to it, and Plasma hits like a truck.
Oh, and there's the last laser gate.
Okay, well, that's a place to go, and they have the B key card, so there's nothing stopping them from going past the military hangar. Man, I do love Plasma Plus. I don't think I've seen a seed with Plasma Plus yet. That's great.
Oh, Plasma Plus is so good. I think it's just a ray gun.
Absolutely, it's massive. And it is a pink orb. So that does get Roenmaru access to the Royal Room in the past if he decides to go back there. If that is the next 1Z, 2Z check he decides to go check.
Yeah, they immediately followed it. That's where the other lab or the Prism Gate item was.
Yep. Perfect. Roenmaru deciding that laser gates are for chumps, which I wholeheartedly agree with, honestly. The lab is almost always bait. But checking the present Siren's Cave, the upper sealed cave here. Still no water mask, so a couple of checks going to be left behind. But there are 2 checks that you can get here, and looks like he's going for it. Taking advantage of that Radiant, though. What a big hit. Love the spell. I would say Radiant, my favorite orb. Plasma's really good, though.
It just shoots so slow.
Yeah. I'm a big jewelry box enjoyer, though.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you got to figure it out then.
Uh-huh. Nothing down here in the Siren's Cave. Rough. So is it time? That looks like it's time. Time to go into the military hangar. And I think this is where we're going to find the next piece, right? Like, we'll probably find a spindle relatively soon. I bet we'll find a 3rd gear. I'm going to say in Emperor's Towers. That's the kind of direction I am feeling so far from this seed. Of course, something could always be in the pyramid, right? Pyramid is open, and neither of our runners have been in there thoroughly. I think Roenmaru got 1 check out of there. We have the close warp in the pyramid, which is very convenient if you have all the Timespinner pieces. But if one of the Timespinner pieces is in the pyramid, that's a lot of territory to search through.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. At least the spindle is in this area, but I'm also going to say the water mask is in the gyre.
Water mask in the gyre? Oh, boy.
And it's bait.
I see you are truly wishing evil into the world. I actually think water mask is underwater right now. I think that's the kind of seed this is.
Yeah, that is a distinction with this particular randomizer that's good to know, that they can lock those kind of items away at all times. The randomizer only is checked to make sure the seed is beatable. Once it's beatable, where the stuff is after that, who cares?
The present hammer giant chest, not the spindle. That's kind of where I was expecting the spindle to be, honestly. Wind plus for Roenmaru? Wind, one of those interesting orbs. It has no internal cooldown, so the faster you can mash, the more damage you can get out of it. But that means you have to be okay with mashing. And not every runner of the game is going to be comfortable with mashing. SilentBrow going for some of those breakable wall checks. Yeah, we've seen SilentBrow be really completionist in this seed, right? It feels like SilentBrow does not like to leave a check unchecked. You know, there's been a lot of like checking the map and making sure that he's gotten everything before moving on.
Yeah, very thorough, but that can really pay off if there's, like I said, nothing at Dad's Tower and Roenmaru gets kind of suckered in there. It may be something that will appeal to SilentBrow late game.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, yeah, this may pay off, right? It is a different strategy. I think a lot of our runners in this tournament are not nearly so thorough, but it's cool to see. You know, it's definitely a different approach. Roenmaru making their way through the lab, while Silent still going through some of the checks that Roenmaru's already checked. I'm not sure if any of this stuff that that they're on their way towards is stuff that Roenmaru hasn't seen. Oh, really? That door closes. I didn't know that door closes.
Well, that was very interesting. Coming through it one way, I would assume would have just opened it, but...
yeah, so the D keycard door in the library opens if you go through it the other way, and just stays open. I think there's other doors that act the same way, but maybe now that I'm thinking about it, maybe not. Oh no, the B keycard doors if you come up from Present Siren's Cave, also. And we have our third gear for Roenmaru. Roenmaru found their third gear here in the lab. So, about as expected.
Right, yeah, just like you called.
Yep.
Yeah, Roenmaru looking for just the spindle now. Has that pyramid access already figured out, so once they find it, they are good to go.
Expecting them to go through the lab here. The real question is, once they're done with the lab, do they check the pyramid? Interestingly, I think all of the runners that are in this tournament that were in last year's tournament as well are scarred by the qualifier seed from last year.
Oh, yeah.
And will never leave pyramid unchecked.
It just sticks with you. It really does.
It really does. So if Roenmaru had that experience, I would have expected Roenmaru to finish up the lab here, make it to the warp before the Emperor's Towers, and immediately go check the pyramid. But as it stands, I'm not sure that he will. I don't know that Roenmaru has that same kind of urge to go through the ancient pyramid. Win plus, extremely plus, very wind, much wow. I do love a win plus user. I myself am not a win plus user, but I very much appreciate it when other people do.
Alright, SilentBrow grabbing their access to the military hangar, see what they want to do, as we have the Azure Queen hanging out in Ravenlord's pod.
All these birds just swapping places. Yeah, just sitting there with wind. Look at it go. Doing some orb swapping with Radiant. And this actually works really well. So this is looking like he's using auto fire and the jewelry box, which sometimes doesn't work out too well because it slows down your ability to swap while you're firing the other orb. But because wind is so fast, it doesn't hurt your cooldown on the jewelry box at all. So it's the same as if you were just swapping back and forth on Radiant, and you get a couple of extra hits in with the wind orb. I like that.
Yeah, I tried using that auto fire-ish thing on a couple practice scenes. I don't know that I'm crazy about it, but it is definitely very useful with some orbs.
Absolutely. It's a thing that I've kind of embraced, actually. I think it's very effective. I think it does, for the most part, what I want. Oh, there's I+ for Roenmaru.
All right, any Buzzsaw users in chat?
I am absolutely a Buzzsaw.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know you are. I've seen you race. Yeah, that tactic is brutal if you can get the timing down.
Silent now going through the military hangar. We'll see how well this works out for him. This is all stuff that Roenmaru has seen. So what Silent needs is for that spindle to be in an out-of-the-way place. He needs that spindle to be in some place that Roenmaru's not going to look. And everything from here on out, from the military hangar down, is all kind of obvious on route places. There's kind of nothing that you don't check here. It's not like there's, underwater stuff that you're not going to go find. It's not like there's, with the Oculus Ring in hand, it's not like there's anything they're going to miss. Although there is still the spider hell check in the lab. So there is some stuff that they're orphaning by going through here. But there's not like... Like the Siren's Cave in the past, right? It's sort of this one-off, random, tunnel off to the side that some people check, some people don't. At this point, everything is just on the critical path. So if the spindle is here, Roenmaru's going to find it.
Yeah, what SilentBrow needs to have happen is they need to find the water mask, as well as Roenmaru find the water mask, and then they divert on checks, and they just check the right thing first.
Yeah. SilentBrow needs to have the water mask here, and then needs progression to be underneath the water. And that is how SilentBrow fights their way back into this race, given how much of a lead Roenmaru has at this point. Right.
And in saying that, though, if the water mask is here, Roenmaru is going to find it first. So there does need to be a little bit of quote unquote luck on Silent's side to go to the right check.
Yeah. Even if things work out perfectly for Silent, it's still down to Silent making routing choices that Roenmaru doesn't make in order for this to work at all. And even then, Roenmaru has the advantage.
Oh, baby.
Gas Mask. Gas Mask doesn't help when the Maw is underwater? On the other hand, what if? What if Water Mask behind the Emperor fight and Spindle on one of the captain's chests?
Well, we were talking about things that Roenmaru has already done. None of them have done the Gyre.
It's true. None of them have done the Gyre. I mean, that's kind of a surprise, actually.
Silent could just make the gamble of, oh, there's the Gyre. I don't want to do Dad's Tower because it's long and terrible.
You know, I didn't even think about that. The Gyre is currently in Logic. The Pyramid is currently in Logic. And neither of them have been to either of those places. Making the time stop climb here. Wow, Roenmaru,
really,
that is
really
cool.
Well done.
Yeah, I never see this. That is so cool. Difficult to do for sure. And I believe this is the way you get through here in vanilla, because you're not expected to have Light Wall yet. Roenmaru now remembering that he has infinite vertical at his fingertips. Definitely a much easier climb with Light Wall.
Again, shout out Roenmaru with those great double jump light walls.
Yeah, I really appreciate this placement. This is a good climb. Practice for when he has to do this in necessary progression and regret.
Oh no!
Maybe that's where the Water Mask is.
I'm starting to hate all of this.
Water Mask and regret. Spindle at Captain's chest. That's my call. If only to make us sit here for another extra 45 minutes.
Yeah, because it'll be that long. That's gross.
But yeah, SilentBrow definitely still going through kind of the same steps that Roenmaru's already gone through. So still a bit behind, just in terms of traversal here. SilentBrow finishing up the lab right around the same time that Roenmaru is finishing up Emperor's Towers. And then, what do we have left? We have some Oculus Ring checks to go back through that Roenmaru's checked some, but not all. We have the Gyre, we have the Pyramid.
Spider Hells.
Oh, yes, Roenmaru's picked up the A key card. So could be in one of the Spider Hells. And, we've seen Bombardiers. I think any check that requires vertical, SilentBrow's gotten. Because SilentBrow's been really thorough about going through the game so far.
Alright, with the exception of the A key card, we didn't see anything in Dad's Tower, so as long as it's not behind that, Silent kind of needs to go elsewhere besides doing those checks.
Mm-hmm. SilentBrow up against Nightmare at Genza now, so the boss of the lab. Will get through here pretty quickly, and then has some choices to make. Roenmaru looks like he's checking the lab Spider Hell. Nice that he's checking this after the lab has already been shut off and restored, right? After he's gone through the Genza fight, which means that he can warp out of here. All right, is it required Spider Hell? Drum roll, please. No. What's next on the list? So Roenmaru has, I would say, like, about 5 or 6 minutes uncontested here to go check all the places that SilentBrow has not checked yet. And there is probably more than 6 minutes worth of checks in terms of places to go here. So a lot of this is going to come down to Roenmaru's routing. If they make the right call, which is pure luck, just 100% luck here, then they could be in go mode before SilentBrow is out of the towers. But if not, then at that point it's just a completely open Spindle hunt. They're both the same position in terms of progression, so it's just whoever finds the right place first. But Roenmaru does have that advantage. This is the power of the execution, I think, that Roenmaru's shown. Like, Roenmaru's definitely shown like a much quicker trip out of the Zarian caves, for example. So definitely shown off in places where their execution is better. Their use of spells, I think, is a little bit better, a little bit more knowledgeable of the effects of the spells that they have access to. But at the end of the day, you know, that is an advantage, but is not the entire story. It's entirely down to routing at this point. Just going through the gyre, I don't even know what to say at this point. Like, is the next check it, right? It's like any next chest could be go mode.
Nothing. I was very wrong. SilentBrow kind of sticking with what's got them disbar the dance of just being very thorough and doing all the checks in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, that they kind of have to, right? Like, especially, they have to feel like they're behind. With how the Zarian Caves went, they have to feel like they're behind. Roenmaru might also feel like they're behind. I don't know where Roenmaru is exactly. But SilentBrow, like, you know, just based on on how the Zarian Caves went, like, they have to feel like they're behind right now. So being thorough, checking all the things just to make sure if there is something that my opponent missed, that's my advantage. Because they're not going to get to anywhere sooner than their opponent will. Making the rest of this climb. And unfortunately only seeing things that we know aren't going to get them anywhere. These are all the things that Roenmaru's already gotten. Getting that security keycard A at a way up there, and we have reached progression parity. Roenmaru going to the pyramid. All right. So now is the time to see whether or not my curse has come true. This is a reasonable choice here. I think the pyramid has 1, 2, 3, 4 checks that. Oh my god! Wet regret. So if it's in regret, which question mark, they're gonna need the pyramid, the water mask. So can't be water mask in regret. I mean, it could be water mask in regret if water mask isn't necessary. But also, like, they just need a spindle. You know, like we're trying to make up ways that the seed could go another 45 minutes, but like this next chest could be the spindle, and then it's over.
I think if it's not the water mask, it kind of has to be. There's not a ton left. A lot is locked by water now.
Mm-hmm. There's still quite a few Oculus Ring checks for Roenmaru, I think. Wasn't there.
Did they miss one?
I think there's just some Oculus Ring checks in the past or the present that they didn't get. So it's got to be one of those. Maybe one of the breakable walls in Serene or Desolation? I don't think SilentBrow has gone back to check those since getting Oculus Ring. And I don't know that Roenmaru has decided to go back and forth for some of those checks yet. We know this isn't it. Because there's a lot of these checks that SilentBrow has checked. So every time Roenmaru goes to a place that SilentBrow's already been, that's another 10-15 seconds that SilentBrow makes up. C-card checks from chat? Yeah, could be C-card.
Yep,
I don't think we've seen the C-card room in the towers. I don't know, it's on the map for SilentBrow, so SilentBrow may have been there already. SilentBrow now going for the Gyre, yep, following in Roenmaru's footsteps. Unfortunate.
Yeah, but if you're playing the numbers, like, this makes sense-ish.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes as much sense as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that it's a wrong routing call given what SilentBrow knows. Like I would probably make a similar call in their footsteps, in their shoes. But you and I know, unfortunately, it's not going to pay off. Chat also pointing out we don't have the V card yet, so something could be hidden behind the V card.
Yep, great shout.
All right, so now we're going to get one of the breakable walls in Serene. I don't remember if SilentBrow came back for this one or not.
I know they did the ones in Desolation. I don't know if they did Serene or not.
Yeah, I think you're right. There it is! The spindle!
But not!
All right, well, that's it. That's go mode for Roenmaru. Roenmaru now heading towards the pyramid and going for those final 2 boss fights.
Yeah, and if I'm Roenmaru and I don't play with the race room open at this point, I'm convinced I've lost because you didn't need anything almost at all in the labs. You barely needed more than 2 checks. You didn't need the tower at all or the Geyer, and you're like, oh no, had I just come back to this.
Yeah, what was down there?
The power of I Spy.
Where was the mysterious beacon? Like that could have been it. There was a gear in the lab.
Yeah, there was a gear in like the 2nd check in the lab or something like that, and that's it. They've had airman access for a while.
Yeah. Going off autofiler with the jewelry box again, not quite optimal, but it looks glorious. And
but you're gonna put a show on for the fans.
Absolutely. So Prince Nuvius in our first boss swap, taking over for Sandman here. This is a relatively easy to predict fight, not a lot of attacks from Prince Nuvius, but each of the attacks are kind of a pain to deal with. They cover a lot of ground, he moves pretty fast. And Cantorin as Nightmare in our final boss spot. Radiant not going to be very good at Cantorin, but the Empire, or the Big Fist, is going to hit pretty hard here. Of course, there is always Jin Inferno. When in doubt, Jin Inferno. Please don't die. Yeah, this is entirely Roenmaru's race to lose at this point. Cantorin at Nightmare hits hard. Like, this is scaled up from Cantorin's spot where they normally appear. And they already hit kind of hard for where they normally appear. So, that's it. Exclamation marks in chat. Congratulations, Roenmaru, with an official race time of 1:05:51. And I'm seeing in the race time chat, we haven't quite caught up yet, but an almost immediate forfeit from SilentBrow. Understandable completely.
Yeah, let's get those exclamation points in chat for SilentBrow as well. A little bit of trouble getting through the Zarian's caves, but for the most part, we're right on Roenmaru's heels the entire time.
Yeah, and spending this amount of time looking for the spindle, like how behind Silent must already feel, completely understandable forfeit here. Let's see if we can get these runners into the Discord. SilentBrow saying they have to go, so they can't interview. But maybe we can get Roenmaru in here. I think the invite might have been already sent out. Let me see what they're up to. Man, my mind is still just flashing back to that incredible long run through of Zarian caves, fighting your way back out off of the modern warp beacon.
Yeah, this scene had some brutality to it in some spots, having to go back with the Oculus Ring to get some of those one-off checks for required items.
Ah, here he is.
There he is.
Roenmaru, I didn't see your pronouns. Are you he, him, or?
Roenmaru.
Okay. You're sure?
Yeah. Guys, GG.
Yeah. GG. How are you feeling? Congratulations on your win here.
I'm good because my first run, I have a big problem on the Raven Lord. Oh.
Yeah. Your first match against Winfei Maiden was just atrocious. Like, I'm so sorry you have to experience that.
No problem. It's game.
That was a very rough fight, though.
No vertical movement is a great problem in the Raven Lord. We leave Raven Lord for the last check in the past. So, because I like it, I think it's not so bad now, but I tried to check the breakable wall. So I will go Raven Lord.
Yeah.
I never like to get in this moment water mask.
Yeah, nobody saw the water mask. SilentBrow didn't see it either, so we have to presume the water mask was just underwater somewhere.
Okay. So, oh no, continue.
What did you think about that modern warp beacon location? The back end of the Zarian caves.
No have idea. Just go more fast in the shacks and just pop up.
Well, it definitely netted you a lot of advantage. SilentBrow was stuck in the Zarian caves for quite a while. So that gave you, I want to say, like 5 to 6 minutes. Good, solid lead there.
Okay.
But yeah, you were pretty much ahead for the majority of the seed. And then getting through the end of the Emperor's Towers and then going on that spindle hunt at the very end was, well, that's Timespinner.
Yeah, I think I have a good road. Try to never leave more than shacks back, but it's the Timespinner, you say.
Yeah, it definitely is. Talon, any questions?
No, you did a great job. We really wanted to compliment you on some of your double jump light walls. Really good, smooth movement and some of those long vertical climbs.
Yeah, no sash. Try to do my best.
You did great, honestly. Watching you climb, I think we called out in Emperor's Towers, was very, very smooth. The positioning on the light walls was cool to watch.
Yeah, so Cubs Harping, it's a very help to do light wall, but yeah, just go fast.
Great. Well, I think I'm out of questions. So, Roenmaru, any shoutouts, any final words, anything you want to tell the chat?
Guys, thanks for the restream. Thanks for the tournament. Thanks for the SilentBrow to this race. It's bad to not win, but I like this win.
Yeah. Definitely a big shout outs to Speedgaming Live for giving Timespinner a home, essentially giving this tournament some extra exposure. Thank you very much to the runners for being here, Roenmaru and SilentBrow. There's links in chat if you want to follow them on Twitch. Talon, thank you for being here. Thank you for being my co-commentator.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And
let's talk about the future. So, Roenmaru, you're up against Ezra 3 in the second chance bracket. Ezra had a good performance against Mikaneko Pi in winners, and then lost in a very close race against SEZ in winners round 2. How are you feeling about that?
I'm great, but it's race for race. I think my opponent in the next or Waffles Up or Raiden. I lost to Raiden last year. But I think this is my revenge. I try.
Yeah, up against if you make it past Ezra, then Waffle Soup versus Raiden is going to be the next match that's up against you, and both of them are strong racers. So that's it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a good show.
Hey, I like a race, anyone, but I try to do a best race.
Yeah, absolutely. And you put on a great performance this race, and I'm excited to see how well you do in the tournament. I'm excited to see how far you can get.
No, okay, thanks.
So upcoming races, we have 2 races on Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern. We have Asura Knight versus Ducky 2010 and Wef Jebster versus Urza MTG, which that promises to be a amazing race. Wef Jebster and Urza both excellent runners with really, really good performances last year. And then on Friday, we have Batty Mass Index versus Tonberry James. Batty Mass Index, a speedrunner of the game, and Tonberry James definitely fought his way to this point, so that should be a good race as well. But I think that's everything. That's all the news that's fit to print. So thanks for coming, everybody. Yeah, follow the runners, follow all the speed gaming channels, check out our future Timespinner content, and I'll hope to see you all at the next one.
Oh, thanks guys. See you next.
Thanks, everyone.
GG's. Have a good night.
GG.